Hello and welcome to another edition of Son of Kaiju Review. I'm Protomet.
I'm Tank.
And today we will be finishing up our kind of Mothra marathon that we've been doing for the past few years since we started with the last Mothra movie, Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
Yep.
Not to be confused with Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Now, you on the YouTube version, you can totally see that this is the 2019 movie and not the U.S. adaptation of the 54 film. Of course, currently there's only a YouTube version because I can't be bothered to look for any other place to post these. That's on me.
That's fine.
That's my fault.
A lot of people actually post podcasts on YouTube.
Yeah, I know.
They're much more famous than we are.
I'm just saying, because I keep referring to the YouTube version as if there's any other version out there right now.
I guess we could film while we talk into a microphone, but that'd be kind of dumb.
Wouldn't be the only time it's happened. I mean, Pat the NES Punk has done it lots of times. And that's just the only example that comes to mind right away because I don't really watch podcasts all that much. Or listen to them, I suppose.
I will listen to a few, but nothing too extreme.
But anyway, getting back to the topic of the movie at hand. This is the third of the MonsterVerse films released by Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures. It was preceded by the 2014 Godzilla movie, not to be confused with Godzilla, or Return of Godzilla, or Godzilla 1985, or Godzilla.
Godzilla, and Godzilla?
Yeah, I think that's all of them. It was also preceded by Kong Skull Island, which is a topic for another day, just like the first Godzilla movie in the MonsterVerse.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the third out of the currently 4 MonsterVerse films. It was... Well, we'll get to that at the end. I mean, everybody already knows which one's coming next, because it came out just a year ago.
King Kong versus Godzilla?
Godzilla versus Kong, but yeah. But anyway, it has been 5 years since Godzilla and the Mutos fought, and the Monarch has become a more public organization, and that's not necessarily a good thing, because now the public is aware that
giant monsters run this earth.
Basically, and now there's kind of a debate as to whether to live peacefully with the Titans, as they're now called, or to eradicate them.
There's some that want to keep them alive, and some of them just want them dead.
Monarch wants to keep them alive and monitor them to find a way to coexist with them. Mm-hmm. But there are elements within the U.S. government who would rather Monarch be disbanded or absorbed into the military and given the task of eliminating Kaiju, as evidenced by the hearings that a couple of Monarch employees are engaged in a little bit. But we'll get to that soon enough.
We get to kind of a flashback, but I guess it's a flashback to a...
It's a flashback to the events of the first movie.
Yes.
But from the perspective of the Russell family, who...
are looking for their son.
Andrew,
who...
doesn't make it.
Does not make it due to...
Well, just all the chaos that's around.
Yep.
But you fast forward to 2019, and a Monarch researcher, Emma Russell, and her daughter, Maddie, short for Madison, are heading to a Monarch facility to monitor a...
She's trying to make breakfast.
Well, Maddie's trying to make breakfast, and...
She burns the bacon!
Not so much the otother stuff.
No.
It also is revealed that Maddie's been... getting emails from her estranged father. Because I think the two are separated.
I believe they're divorced.
And that's mostly because they're both dealing with Andrew's death in their own ways. And I'll touch on that later because I actually have some stuff I want to say about that. Because I think it's... I'll touch on that later.
Okay. So, they get a call to go to some underground bunker area where a giant egg is
on the verge of hatching.
It's a Mothra egg,
which hatches into a larva. And it's at this point we are introduced to
Imago form.
Imago would be the winged form, the adult form. This is just a larva. But we are introduced to a device that Emma has created called the Orca, which emits frequencies that resonate with Kaiju. Or the Titans, sorry. They're called Titans in this universe. And they manage to calm Mothra down after it goes
webs a bunch of people holding guns.
But they manage to calm it down and tell it, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay.
Madison get to pet the giant worm.
And then terrorists come in.
Yep.
A group of terrorists led by Alan Jonah, a former British Army colonel. And this organization is basically all about freeing the Kaiju.
Freeing and possibly changing the world.
Yes. And they attack the facility, unleash Mothra, and kidnap Emma and Madison.
Yep.
And when Monarch hears about this,
they are in the middle of a courtroom or
that congressional hearing I mentioned before, where they're trying to present their case for why the Titans should be preserved and monitored rather than eradicated, which is... It's nice that we get both Serizawa and Graham from the previous Godzilla movie in opposition to the military general that showed up in that previous movie.
Yeah.
Because it shows that both characters from that movie saw the events that happened and have differing opinions on how to proceed.
Yeah.
We also do see some of the protests that have been occurring in the aftermath that are calling for the eradication of the Titans.
Yeah.
So it's not so much a clear-cut case of Godzilla good, enemy monsters bad.
No, they think all Titans are bad.
But yeah.
Yeah. But there's a scene that kind of makes me chuckle. It's like when Serizawa and the others get a call to tell them that some of the Kaijus have gotten released.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's their attorney or something. I don't know.
No, he's another Monarch employee, but
he shows them pretty much Kaiju porn.
He hopes the version that he's showing is censored because
apparently there's giant genitals. You don't see anything.
We don't see anything. And as Serizawa and Vivian are actually leaving, I want to say it's either a senator or congressperson who's heading the inquiry or heading the hearing. It basically tells them, if you walk out that door, it won't look good for you guys. But given what has just happened, it's kind of a situation where we have to deal with this now.
Yeah.
We can't wait.
Yeah.
This is an immediate response emergency. So, they learn from... they also get in touch with Emma's ex-husband, Mark
Twain.
Mark Russell, played by Kyle Chandler in his second giant monster movie role.
What was he in beforehand?
King Kong 2005.
3 hours.
We'll get to that someday. But he's reluctant to help them because he's kind of on the side of let's eradicate the Kaiju.
Yeah. But he's all against... Well, he's against having them live, so eradicate the Kaiju. Kind of when he finds out that Madison and Emma have been taken, he
he does decide to help for their sake, not
not for the kaiju or the titans or. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna keep calling him kaiju because I'm gonna keep forgetting Titan.
And while everybody at Monarch is trying to figure out how to proceed, Mark's the one who figures out that Mothra getting released was actually a distraction.
Yeah,
and that the terrorist plotter's actually somewhere else and
trying to release something bigger,
which takes everybody to Antarctica, where a giant frozen 3-headed monster dubbed Monster Zero is
the Hydra
is being monitored while it's frozen. And basically,
they show up and shoot up everyone. I guess they're from Monarch too.
Well, it's a Monarch facility, so yes.
Yeah, so the terrorists show up, shoot them, and they want to wake it up, and then Monarch comes on a spaceship.
To try and stop them. It's a giant, hover ship.
Yeah.
They call it Castle Bravo.
Castle Bravo.
In reference to the Castle Bravo experiments that occurred at Bikini Atoll, which is what woke Godzilla, according to the 2014 movie, and which created Godzilla according to the original Toho continuity. So, yeah, it's kind of jumping ahead a bit here with regards to the MonsterVerse. It would make more sense if we had made some of the other films to help better explain that, but
they they see Godzilla in the water before this, I think.
Possibly. I think he might be on the way to Antarctica.
Yeah, because they kind of have a staring contest in their underwater base or whatever.
Which, okay, their underwater base is located near where Godzilla's resting grounds. That's Castle Bravo.
Oh, okay.
I guess they were just in some hovercraft.
Okay.
On the way to Antarctica.
Yeah, because he kind of does a little light show with his.
Right. Yeah. No, sorry, I forgot some stuff. So basically, Monarch's movements are going from the congressional hearing to Mark Russell's house to Castle Bravo to Antarctica.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the terrorists went from the Mothra facility to Antarctica, so they get a bit of a head start, and they do. So Monarch starts infiltrating the facility in order to stop the terrorists and rescue Emma and Madison. And then we learn something pretty
kind of surprising.
Turns out Emma's been working with the terrorists the entire time.
And pretty much, she's working with the terrorists, saying it'll change the world if we release these. There'll be no more pollution, war, and stuff like. Yeah, because the human race would be fucking dead.
No, her rationale is by intermittently releasing the Kaiju, the Titans, to retake the planet Earth. Humanity will be largely wiped out, but not completely wiped out. And what few humans will remain can live in coexistence with the Titans, but in moderation. So that because she feels that humanity has polluted the Earth and been just a horrible stain upon the planet, and the Titans are there to restore balance to nature. So they release Monster Zero, who then proceeds to just wreak havoc.
Yep. Then after Monster Zero, aka King Ghidorah.
Yeah, they soon learn that King Ghidorah was what the ancient people called this monster.
Because apparently all the records that they have of all the different kaijus, they couldn't find
anything about Ghidorah prior to a certain point And what little they had seemed to indicate that the creature came from space, which is made abundantly clear
as a false king.
An invasive titan, a titan from space who has come to take the planet for himself, which is made all the more apparent when the eco-terrorists learn that instead of the titans being released individually, King Ghidorah is rousing all of them all at once.
Oh yeah. Jesus.
Which is not what Emma was planning. She was planning on releasing the titans one by one to have them basically eliminate a large chunk of humanity while still allowing for humanity to continue to exist. And this is not going anywhere near what she's planning. Jonah, on the other hand, doesn't care.
Exactly. No, he's evil.
Yeah, he's seen the worst of humanity, and he feels that humanity is just not worth saving.
Yeah.
He kind of becomes a minor antagonist who, at this point, really doesn't do a whole lot outside of stand around.
Yep.
But that's mostly because King Ghidorah is the big villain of the film.
I believe also, before the their ship almost gets zapped by a hydro beam.
Gravity beam.
Gravity beam. I almost said King Kong. Godzilla breaks through the ice to fight King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
And holds his own to a point, but then...
But both Monarch and Godzilla are forced to retreat because King Ghidorah is pretty strong.
Yep.
This does lead to the emergence of other kaijus, most prominently Rodan.
Yep, I believe they call it Rodan the Fire Monster.
And he was resting in Mexico and just...
In their volcano. I just like how they actually sealed the lid of the top of the volcano with some type of, like...
bulkhead.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. And he just broke free with ease.
So he's
about now, and Monarch tries to lure Rodan. Oh, at this point, Ghidorah has made a storm?
Yeah, he's basically traveling inside of a traveling storm.
Mm-hmm.
And Monarch decides, now that Rodan has been released...
let's have him fight King Ghidorah?
and the two flying monsters go at it, and King Ghidorah wins pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I believe Rodan got, like, a kick. A kick. Gravity beam later.
Yeah, you could tell Rodan's not one of the big players of this movie, despite his prominence on the poster.
He's like,
he's a jobber.
I want to say he's technically like the Piccolo who's strong, but he can't beat the big Bill.
Oh, he's like kind of modern Piccolo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not so much King Piccolo.
No,
more modern Piccolo.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
Yep. He's strong, but he couldn't go toe to toe like with a Beerus or something.
Right.
And so then
Godzilla shows up to fight Ghidorah, and it's actually a pretty even match.
This time around, because he seems more prepared. And Ghidorah technically wins again.
But not without losing a head.
Well, of course.
Godzilla manages to tear off one of Ghidorah's heads. And then the Navy shows up.
Yep.
And deploy their new experimental weapon called Oxygen Destroyer, which...
is pretty much the same thing from the original Godzilla.
Not really, no. Like, it's called that, but...
It's just an underwater nuke. No, it wasn't.
Minus the nuke.
Yeah, it's something.
It's like the N2 bombs from Evangelion, non-nuclear.
There you go. Well,
it's the strongest weapon in their arsenal that won't have fallout. Does kill a hell of a lot of fish, though.
Bloop, bloop,
and
bloop,
seemingly Godzilla. But not Ghidorah. Who not only emerges from the explosion...
his head regenerates.
Yeah, it turns out King Ghidorah has some super healing.
He's like...
And it's at this point that Ghidorah wakens all the monsters.
Mm-hmm. He gets on top of, like, I think some type of mountain and just roars and... I want to see what the fuck was going on Skull Island. Kong just feeling overwhelmed with all the different skull crawlers and all the other, like, carnivore type kaiju that are on that island.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia article for this, and it turns out Emma was the one who released Rodan, and then, after the fight, Ghidorah woke up all the other Titans. Mm-hmm. So, Maddie disowns her mom.
Yeah, pretty much.
This was not what they were planning.
She pretty much says, "You're crazy," and just pretty much walks away. And eventually to some other place.
It's at about this point that a monarch scientist, Dr. Eileen Chen, reveals all the stuff they learned about King Ghidorah and the fact that he's an invasive species. We kind of
mentioned that, but
we kind of got ahead of ourselves. But also at some point, Mothra encased itself in a cocoon and has now emerged in its imago form.
And like they find Mothra or actually Mothra finds them and
starts sending out a signal which they realize is being directed to Godzilla, who is responding.
Yes.
Turns out Godzilla actually survived the oxygen destroyer attack.
Barely.
Unfortunately, he's located in an underwater facility, in an underwater layer that is highly radioactive, and he is...
Hollow Earth.
Yes, this ties into the next movie, but we'll get to that when we talk about that movie. Ultimately, they realize that Godzilla has gone back to his lair to recuperate, but realize that at the rate it's going, it'll take a very long time for him to recuperate. Mm-hmm. By which point, Ghidorah will have wiped out pretty much all life forms on the planet.
Mm-hmm. And
especially humans.
Then there's what's the dad's name again?
Mark?
Yeah. Mark asks Serizawa, how many nukes do you have? Why? Maybe we can help him.
So Serizawa decides to go down and sacrifice himself to restore Godzilla. Mm-hmm. I feel I should mention that Ghidorah killed Vivian earlier, so she's been a non-entity since even before the first movie. There, I said it.
Is that the thing you wanted to talk about?
No, it was something else.
Is that still gonna come?
I just wanted to take a dig at Vivian because what the hell does she do with it in the two movies she's in?
Talk.
Yeah, and
talk. You're not wrong. She don't do anything.
I mean, for as much as Dr. Eileen Chen provides the information regarding King Ghidorah, there's at least evidence that she has some connection to Mothra.
She's supposed to be the Americanized version of the Shobi gene.
Kind of, just without actually being it. It's more a case like her family has some connection to Mothra because there are a lot of twins in that family.
Yeah.
So it's nothing that's really super relevant to the movie. It's just, okay, cool.
Yeah. Then Madison is in...
Serizawa blows himself up to heal Godzilla.
Yeah.
Who's now ready to fight.
It takes him a bit to get back to land, but at this point, Madison has taken the Echo.
The Orca.
The Echo. Hello. Yeah, Orca, and went to a baseball stadium. And
Fenway Park.
Yep. To
play the Orca over the loudspeakers to try and draw the Titans to Boston. They're with Ghidorah
roars, they're making the Titans destroy everything. Now, with Madison using the device, they have calmed down. Like,
more or less, but also at the same time attracting.
Yeah. And then Ghidorah has located where Madison is and starts shooting gravity beams. And she bolts out.
And now Godzilla has shown up with Monarch in pulling up the rear to help out the situation. Because now Mark has realized that now we not only need to let the Titans fight each other, but we got to be helping it because we're part of the we are involved in this situation now too. We got to be helpful to kind of prove our worth as being a species on this planet.
Yeah. Then Godzilla is fully recharged. He's holding his own against King Ghidorah.
And Mark goes to rescue Madison.
And in the middle of looking for Madison, she runs into Emma. And they get inside the military or Monarch are looking for Madison as then Emma drives up in a army jeep looking thing and just get in, and they just drive around.
Yeah, because by this point she's realized that Madison is gone, and considering that she's had a falling out with Jonah, she has left the terrorist.
Yep.
Which seems super easy, but whatever.
Well, I see Jonah not caring about any of his henchmen.
Probably they're just more...
They're a cannon fodder.
I assume that Jonah is just more like, it doesn't matter, she'll be dead, everybody will be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. So, then,
Emma and Mark actually reconcile a bit, because now that they know that Emma wasn't planning on all this chaos, she's kind of had a change of heart, and they're willing to trust her a bit.
Okay. There's a scene that I broke out laughing as, like, the couple just starts...
They're in a vehicle driving around trying to find Madison and arguing with each other the entire time.
She ran away. I wonder why. And then, like, the military guy in the back is like, geez, if you guys were my parents, I'd run away too.
I'd run away from home too.
What'd you say?
I said, if I had parents like you, I'd run away from home too.
Home.
And then they realize that Madison has returned home. So they book it there. And Mothra has shown up and now fights Rodan. She does manage to defeat Rodan by stabbing him.
First Mothra who ever had a stinger, by the way.
Yes. But she gets injured during the fight.
Yeah. Then she...
And then Ghidorah starts to gain the advantage in the fight with Godzilla.
Mothra blocks Godzilla with... She
defends Godzilla from one of Ghidorah's gravity beams, and bye Mothra.
She doesn't have very good luck against Ghidorah's.
No, Mothra tends to have pretty good luck against Ghidorah's, just not this time around.
Well, meaning like if she's not the main character.
She did pretty good in the Ghidorah's first movie.
I love the volleyball scene.
I mean, sure, she was just a larva who was way out of her depth, but at least she had the guts to fight. But
yeah, Rodan and Godzilla's like, we don't like humans. They mean to us.
Oh man, now I just realized this movie is basically a remake of Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, minus all the space alien shenanigans.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because there's Godzilla, there's Rodan, there's Mothra, but Rodan's really on nobody's side.
He's a jobber.
Yep. He's a James Ellsworth.
But anyway, Mothra is destroyed by King Ghidorah. But in doing so, Mothra empowers Godzilla and recovers his energy and gives him a boost.
A big ass boost.
So now he's starting to glow not blue but orange, which realistically would mean that he's less hot.
Yeah.
Because blue flame is hotter than red flame or orange flame. But at the same time, Godzilla's like melting everything around him now.
He's like...
Science got tossed out the window as soon as Kaiju showed up, so I guess we can't really be too concerned.
So, that form kind of reminds me of Godzilla vs. Destroyer, where he is literally on the verge of blowing the fuck up.
Yeah, this version is the burning Godzilla form, as in reference to that movie, so...
Yep. And, yeah, he just walks closer and closer to Ghidorah, and...
everything melts in his path.
Just like...
Just from the intense heat. And the two kaiju go at it.
And he shoots just pure radiation towards Ghidorah, and it looked like Mothra's wing.
It's like an EMP, sort of.
Yeah. In
terms of its scale. It's just an outward wave of radiation. Now, by this point, Mark and Emma have found Madison, and they're booking it with Monarch to leave the two monsters to fight each other.
But Emma decides to stay behind and take, grab the device to try to get Ghidorah's attention, and she does, and gives Godzilla more time to power back up. And then Godzilla starts to approach with everything melting around him. It's such a badass scene.
I think his first nuclear pulse actually just burns Ghidorah's wings, so Ghidorah has no way of escaping from this fight. It's do or die time.
Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, now that I remember, Emma gets Ghidorah's attention, and he's not flying. He's technically even just crawling because
she's got the orca to lure him,
and she pretty much sacrifices herself, and then Godzilla blows Ghidorah to bits.
Yeah, and we get a huge explosion, a plume of dust, and then Ghidorah's head emerges from the clouds, and then Godzilla starts swallowing.
And then he kind of spits it, and there's a funny little scene where all of a sudden he kind of just spits it out, and then all of a sudden you just see like little electricity in his mouth.
He doesn't spit it out.
Does he eat it?
He doesn't eat it, but he holds Ghidorah's remaining head in his mouth and then charges an atomic blast.
Oh, that's right.
An atomic breath attack, and it completely just eradicates the final head.
Then, Godzilla's the winner, and he pretty much goes... Actually, no.
And then Rodan and a bunch of other Titans show up and stare down Godzilla.
I just like, all these different Titans show up. Rodan comes and just like, Godzilla just stares at him and just bows.
Rodan bows, and so do the other Titans. Because they acknowledge Godzilla as the king of the monsters.
Yep. I love that meme that's out. Kong hears you. Kong don't care.
That's basically what Kong was doing this entire movie.
Like,
he's not present. So yeah, now humanity basically has to live in coexistence with the Titans. And turns out the Titans even being around is an incredibly positive thing, because we get like deforestation being reversed. Kaiju droppings are
good for
being researched as a potential fuel source. Just the planet is recovering simply by the Titans having emerged. So while Emma's plan ultimately worked, it didn't quite go as she intended.
Yes.
But the end result was a net positive.
Yes. And then there's a end credit scene.
Post-credit scene.
Post-credit scene, yes. And it's Jonah purchasing a Ghidorah head.
Yeah, it turns out the head that got blown off first was found in Mexico.
Wow, it went all the way to Mexico.
Well, it was around there that it occurred.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Because they were trying to lure Rodan to Ghidorah. And Rodan was in Mexico, so yeah. Also, we get a bit of an inside look as to Mexico's situation, because it turns out with all the chaos that had happened, the fishing had dried up in that particular area. Probably the result of the oxygen destroyer.
Yeah.
So not an entirely net positive for every place. There were some areas that got it a bit worse than others, but...
Yeah, so that was Godzilla King of the Monsters.
A movie about two parents ultimately coming to terms with the death of their son in different ways. Also giant monsters.
Was that what you wanted to say?
Yeah, basically. Because the character arcs for Emma and Mark are basically them starting out with a hatred, with their own views on the Titans as being, and how they're basically working through that. Yeah. Emma tries to rationalize Andrew's death by saying that it's some big grand plan from nature, when really it was just a freak accident, something completely unintentional. And so she thinks that in order for Andrew's death to have any justification, a lot of humanity needs to die in order to restore the planet. Meanwhile, Mark feels that the kaiju need to be eliminated so that another Andrew doesn't occur. Yeah. But ultimately comes to realize that the Titans are needed to protect from like other S's that aren't native to Earth.
Exactly.
So he comes to realize that the Titans are important to Earth, and that coexistence is possible.
Yeah, and
then Maddie's just kind of caught in the middle, initially siding with her mom until she realizes that...
She's lost her mind.
Until she realizes that Emma's ideations aren't quite right. And also realizing that her dad's eliminate them all isn't quite right either. So she kind of has to be in the middle ground between them.
Yeah?
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown does a fantastic job in this movie.
Yeah.
I know she had gotten popular due to Stranger Things, but I've never seen that, so I probably should.
It's good, but, well, there's so many different seasons.
Yes, 4.
Yeah.
So many.
They have, one of them, they have to deal with like a kaiju-sized monster in one of the seasons. I can't remember exactly which one. But I haven't gotten through all of it yet.
Right.
I got so much on my plate.
Yeah, I know it more for reputation than having actually seen it. Reputation and like theory videos. And not even a whole lot of that. So I'm still pretty in the dark about what all happens in that series, for the most part.
Little girl has powers.
So Matilda.
And every other little girl that has powers.
No, but with demons. Oh, okay. Matilda with demons.
Yeah.
Oh.
Alrighty. Yeah, so I like this movie.
Yeah, I do know that there were quite a few people who were complaining about the fact that it had a lot of human element to it, which is kind of in contrast to their reaction to the first Godzilla movie in the MonsterVerse, which kind of downplayed humans and was more kaiju action. So it's like, come on, make up your mind.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, us real kaiju fans who appreciate the films are like, yeah, no, I'm fine with the humans. Yeah. The humans are there for a reason.
The kaijus can't talk. We need the plot.
Like if you have nothing but kaiju action, you'll wind up with Hanuman versus 7 Ultraman brothers.
Oh god.
Which I watched over the weekend, so I can remember how batshit insane that climax is. But that's a topic for another video. And the fallout for that is a topic for yet another video.
We're not jumping into a black hole, I swear.
I'm just trying to draw a comparison because that movie but that movie's climax is mostly kaiju action, and it's just absolutely crazy and nonsensical. And that's kind of the extreme end of, well, what if we got rid of all the humans from the plot? Well, then you just have utter nonsense.
It's like, so why is this thing fighting that thing?
Also, there's like no sense of scale. It's just giant monsters fighting each other. Yeah. Without the humans to provide a sense of scale, it's just, you may as well just be watching a dinosaur movie.
Alright. Yeah, so...
Or like a dinosaur documentary. Kind of.
Yeah.
Like Walking with Dinosaurs minus a narrator. I should really watch that. I've never seen it.
Mm.
But then on the other hand, if you have too much human stuff, then you wind up having the opposite problem. You kind of wind up with a king dinosaur situation. Or a monster situation.
Yeah.
And trust us, we have reviews of both of those films to prove that those are not a good thing.
Exactly. We do. We have seen. We have talked about.
And we still hate.
Yeah.
There's still so much anger.
God.
But this movie strikes a nice balance.
Oh, yeah.
It's also nice to actually be able to see the monsters. I mean, a lot of it is still fairly dark, but it's a lot brighter than the 2014 Godzilla.
Yeah.
Not quite Skull Island, though. I mean, that one...
Well, Skull Island is all in the daytime.
Oh, pretty much. And then you get Godzilla vs. Kong, which...
A little mixture of both.
But mostly,
day. Everything's
clear as day, so...
Especially when they go somewhere and it's a bunch of neon lights. You can still see them.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll talk about that when we talk about that movie.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
Not the greatest, but...
I've seen better. I've seen worse. I've seen a lot worse.
I just talked about like 3 worse films. So... Try and figure out which ones they are. Hint, I already revealed 2 of them.
All right, folks. Till next time.
I'm Protomet.
I'm Tank.
See ya.
Bye.